Welcome bitches, one and all, to my reaction to Season 2, Episode 5 of Heartstopper Heat. So, last time we had a fantastic episode where I think it's safe to say Imogen has shot up the list to my favourite character of the season. Now, we did end with Charlie discovering a rather obvious hickey on his neck, so I know our boys are going to be stressing, but I'm very excited to see how this all plays out and how they're going to try and cover this up. But yes, with that said, let's jump back in to the world of Heartstopper. Oh, well, that sucks. It shows you're making an effort, mate. Jesus.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Did I do that?
Well, no shit, Sherlock.
Yeah, I think everyone will notice. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
But no one will notice you.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean...
Oh, sorry to pause so early, but just fucking bless Charlie's heart. He's constantly concerned about Nick, thinking that people are going to find out about them, and it comes from a place of fear. It's not coming from a... I don't think it's coming from a place of love. Don't get me wrong, I know that there is love there, but I think it's coming from a place of fear within Charlie, where he does not want to upset Nick, and it's that whole idea of, like, I don't want to upset Nick and make Nick not like me because I'm making him uncomfortable by us being together. That's not... For one, if Nick knew that you were having those thoughts, he would slap those right out of your head. You know what I mean? But two, that's not... You can't think that way, Charlie. It's not good for you. You're allowed to want you to be out and proud as a couple. You can't get down on your feelings. That is what you want. It's what you need to feel happy and secure in your relationship. It's okay to feel that way, and it's okay to be honest about that.
I really enjoyed it.
I'm sure you did.
What are you two doing in there?
None of your business. Oh my god, the judgmental look.
How did you get that bruise on your neck? Oh my god. You! I cannot believe it! The actual...
Excuse me?
We will be having words.
Oh my Christ. I'm sorry, Father Tao. Bloody hell.
Hi. We're going for breakfast.
I'll be there in a minute.
Immediately talking about the hickey. I mean, to be fair, like, let's just be honest. If we were in this school, we would all be talking about it as well. It's nice little drama, a bit of gossip, but it goes away within a couple of days, even one day. Like, well, don't worry about it, Charlie. It is what it is.
It wasn't just his fault. I was also involved.
No need for the gory details.
Oi, Charlie Spring! Who gave you that hickey?
Yikes. Ben just shadowing in the back.
Not hungry?
Not really.
Intriguing, though.
I'll pack you a croissant, so if you get hungry later, we'll have a snack.
Oh.
You're the best.
He is. Let's just be fucking real, he is. But a couple of things to note from that scene. One, obviously, Charlie not eating again. Very concerning. I hope we touch on this soon and we have a conversation about it. But secondly, interesting that Ben is separated from his group, because obviously Imogen was with that lot, and Imogen did look a bit down, which I know that, because I don't think that she's fully included in the group yet, and I don't blame the group. It's a hard thing when someone new comes in to try and include them. Like, you have to put actual thought and effort in, but I hope they do. But he also was not with the boys, so he's very secluded right now because of what happened last episode, and part of me does feel bad for him. Obviously, I'm not a monster. A part of me can see that, like, obviously he's in pain, and all of these bad things have come from internal pain and internal hatred of himself, really. But that doesn't make any of it okay. And at the end of the day, maybe this will convince him that he needs to change. Maybe this will be the catalyst that will result in Ben actually making some changes in his behavior. I just think the only issue right now is he doesn't know how.
Wait, is it true James McEwen gave you that hickey?
He's the only other gay guy on the trip, so...
Bless.
No,
Okay, people are way too fucking obsessed with this right now.
It wasn't me. I mean, obviously you know it wasn't me.
By the way, Charlie, it wasn't me who did that. Like, what? Bless you. Bloody hell.
Now, we've all
I feel like that just... Oh my god. I'm not gonna lie, I feel like that just gave me like PTSD of school. When I heard that quiet, my brain fully just went, shush, Harry, be quiet.
But we thought this morning would be a good time to remind you why we're really here.
and that's to practice your French skills.
Nick, I'm ready.
Starting with Charlie Spring and James McEwen.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Get ready for the rumors.
Nick Nelson and Ben Hope.
Fuck off.
Sir, I don't want to go with Nick Nelson.
I don't give a rat's ass, rude boy. Grow up.
Oh, fuck. What on earth is this conversation about to be? Are they just gonna walk away and not talk to each other? Imogen? I want to look at that again, sorry. Oh my Christ, Imogen.
I know you think it's funny to point things out about people and get a laugh out of your mates, but do you ever stop and think how you're actually making people feel? Like, come on, Harry, where's your basic human empathy?
Isaac, I did not expect this. Thank you. Wow. Sorry, I know I've already done it, but we're going to go back again and we're going to have a look at that again.
Oh, come on, leave it out, book
So
boy.
stupid everybody thinks it was me.
Come on, leave it out, book boy. Shut the fuck up.
Do you think Isaac thinks it was me? I just don't want him to think it was me.
He knows it wasn't you.
Okay.
Interesting.
I want to talk about what happened at the Paris trip meeting.
About Tao's proposal.
Darcy, we need to have a conversation.
Darcy, you know that's not what I meant.
You're just constantly avoiding it, my darling.
You know what? Never mind. Let's just get on with the worksheet.
Darcy, sweetheart, we need to talk about this. It's becoming an issue. I mean, it became an issue from the beginning.
Are you happy?
Oh God, here we go.
First Charlie, now Imogen. You were the one who told her about me and Charlie, aren't you?
Oh my God, Ben, you are delusional.
You never cared about either of them. You used Imogen for popularity points, and you didn't actually like Charlie. You just liked having control over him.
I don't agree with that, to be completely honest with you. I think that there is definitely an element of truth there. Holy shit, is there an element of truth? He loved the fact that he was the one with the power in the relationship. And because Charlie is such a sweet person who wants what's best for others, he did everything for Ben, and Ben did everything for himself. You know what I mean? Like, everything was for Ben. And I am not doubting that the control of that relationship was what made him so fucking happy. But I do think he genuinely liked Charlie. I do think that deep down he has feelings for Charlie. And that is why this has been so explosive. Like, that is why Ben is always so explosive about things. Because he definitely used Imogen as a way to get to Nick. He used Imogen as, again, someone to control, someone to maybe make him not feel as alone as he is. But I absolutely think that his feelings for Charlie were real and are still real. Because when he looks at him, the way he always wants to be around him, he does like him. He just doesn't know how to like someone. He doesn't know how to like another guy without that self-hatred coming in. Like, I fully do have a lot of empathy for Ben. I do understand where a lot of his thoughts and feelings come from, but his actions and the fact that he does not stop himself and does not even realize the things that he's doing. Like, he's never apologized. He's never sat down to himself and been like, holy fucking shit, I'm a horrible person and I need to change. Without doing those things, even though I can empathize for you, I still don't like you and you're a horrible person because you're not putting the effort into doing that. You're not putting the effort into changing. And it's just sad because his feelings for Charlie are definitely real in my mind, and he's really just fucked it all up, and he doesn't know where to go from here, you know. I think he feels very stuck. He feels very caught in a loop of, I like Charlie, but no, it's gay. Ugh, I hate gay. But then I still really like Charlie. I want to know what his day was like. But then, oh God, what if people see we're talking to each other? Ew. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like he just constantly has this loop of self-hatred, which, while sad, he's using it against other people, and that's a huge problem.
I get it, I was a dick back then, but I was dealing with my own shit.
Back
Charlie
then,
didn't even give me a chance to figure myself out, and then you came along and you stole him from me.
that is such a stupid point of view.
At least I was nice enough not to give him a hickey where everyone could see.
Wow.
Okay, is everyone finished?
Okay, sorry to pause again. I know I just had a big talk, but we need to unpack that. Again, Ben coming in with the attacks on Nick because he in his mind thinks, if I attack Nick enough about him doing things against Charlie, it'll make Nick feel so bad within himself that he's going to leave Charlie. It'll make him feel so bad about the things that he's done against Charlie that he's going to be like, oh my God, I'm not good enough for you. You know what I mean? And that is Ben's tactic here. He's trying to drive Nick away so that he can wedge himself in. But the fact that this is what I mean about I have empathy for Ben, but his actions say otherwise, because he's come into this saying Nick is the reason that they broke up. Charlie didn't give him a chance to work himself out. Nick came and stole Charlie. Charlie liked him before Nick came along. It just does not make sense, Ben. You treated him like shit. He was stuck. Charlie had love for you. Charlie had those feelings of, I'm in a relationship, I have a boyfriend, I don't want to be alone again, you know? But then you treated him like shit and he did not deserve that. He didn't realize what he deserved until Nick came along. It wasn't that Nick came along and taught Charlie not to like Ben anymore. No, he taught Charlie what he deserves, and that is why Charlie left. That is why Charlie went away from you. You were an abusive fucking dick. And the fact that after everything that has happened, you still think you're the victim. You still think that the world is a cruel place that is crumbling around you, and you're just trying your best to make it through, when no, my boy, you're the one with the fucking hammer making it all crumble, you fucking idiot. Sorry. That pissed me off.
We didn't get tickets for the lift.
No.
Yikes. Can you get them now? Because if I was those two teachers, I'd be like, kids, good luck on the stairs. We're gonna take the lift up. Darcy.
Okay, this is the most beautiful side. I need to get a selfie for my mum. Okay.
Ah.
She's gonna love that.
Bless them so much.
Hey Nick, is that hickey from you then?
Uh-oh.
What if it was?
Oh.
You jealous?
Nice. Good comeback.
Nah, leave him alone, lads. Come on.
Interesting. Interesting.
Did Harry just stick up for us?
That's what I noticed as well.
Maybe we shouldn't be hanging out right now. More
Charlie,
people might think it was
stop.
You know.
You do know it was me, right?
Yeah, I think I remember you being there.
Yeah?
Oh, I love them so much. Oh. This is what I mean. It's just fucking sad that they can't have these moments together. Oh, Mr. Cool. Oh my god, are we gonna get Tira's dad? Fuck's sake.
You really don't think things are gonna work out?
Even if she does like me back, and even if something did happen, still mess it up like I always do with everything.
Tao.
Name one thing you've messed up.
The cinema date, your life multiple times.
How?
I'm basically the reason you got outed last year. After you
Okay.
came out to us, I was talking about you with Isaac. Someone overheard, and next thing we know, you're getting bullied every single day.
Interesting.
I never wanted to tell you because I didn't want you to hate me.
So they haven't even talked about it. Okay.
But you know that wasn't your fault, don't you? Like, that was clearly an accident.
Sorry, I just want to, because I struggle to talk when people are talking, and I just don't want to skip over that. I know that people said last season that Tao, like, basically in the comics, it was revealed that Tao was the reason that Charlie had got outed, but they hadn't touched on it in season 1, so I'm assuming that that implies the comics had that revealed a lot earlier on than the show has. But I'm very, very happy that 1, the show has touched on it, and 2, that they've gone down the route of Tao telling Charlie now. Because I'm happy that it hasn't just been this, like, unsaid thing that they haven't talked about. I'm happy that it's been this thing where Tao hasn't even approached Charlie about it. It's probably been playing on his mind a lot. It's probably been something that in their friendship has just been constantly going over in Tao's mind, thinking that he's the reason that Charlie got bullied and all that, and it only played into Tao's feelings of people leaving him, and he didn't want Charlie to leave him as a friend. And so I feel really bad about that for Tao, because it's one of those really annoying things where, because it's so normal to you and because it's so not an issue to you, of course he's going to talk to Isaac about it openly and just have a conversation, you know? Like, it's one of those things where you don't think about the ramifications because you're not actively going out and doing anything. Like, Tao didn't go to someone and go, by the way, Charlie's gay, spread it around. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was just one of those annoying little mistakes. I just think that for some people, they don't realize, like, I feel like when you're not queer yourself, you're not as careful with things, and it's not a problem. I'm not getting down on Tao. It was literally a mistake. I'm just looking at it from, like, a point of view of, because you don't have that fear of it within yourself, you don't realize when you're saying something a little bit too loudly, you know? And so that's all it was, Tao. It was just a little bit of a mistake. I've got my own personal thing where nothing came of it, but I remember walking into sixth form once with one of my friends, and she was outwardly saying about me messaging a guy, but like she was saying it so outward and open in like a crowd essentially, and I was like, bitch, shut your fucking mouth. Like, what are you doing? But that's what I mean. I don't think that a lot of people, when they don't have that fear within themselves, I don't think they realize what they're saying at the time, and it's not a problem. So Tao needs to stop thinking about that. But the other thing that I did want to touch on, moving on from all of this, is with Townell. I think that it could very much work. I think that it is something that is so special. Like, it could bloom into something so beautiful. I just think you need to realize that just because your first date went bad, just because things can be awkward, does not mean that that is the way they will always be, and it does not mean that that is an indication that you should leave things there. No, this is the very beginning. Of course things are going to be awkward. Of course it's not going to go perfect. In essence, that's a bit of the fun of it, you know? It's fun when things don't go completely perfect. It's fun to look back on in a few years' time and be like, oh my god, do you remember how awkward that was? You know what I mean? Like, you just got to move on from this, Tao.
We've been friends since the first
It
day
can
of
work.
Hey, I'm Tal. Charlie. Cool.
Oh!
It makes me cry like every time.
Oh!
Are you guilt tripping me into being nice about myself?
Even if you make mistakes sometimes, you're a good person who deserves love.
Fuck yeah, Charlie. Good friend moment. Charlie and Tao?
Wait, isn't that for you and Nick?
Oh! They're so cute. What good friends.
We need to get to the Louvre.
I was like, stop the hugging. We gotta get there.
You have until 5 p.m. And if any of you gets lost, we will be leaving you here to get locked in.
I don't think that's how that works, Mr. Farouk, but...
Wait, that's the Mona Lisa. That's it. It's rubbish. What?
Oh, Darcy, keep your voice down. Another duo we've never had.
I don't think I really understand any of the art, but it's nice to look at.
You don't always need to understand it to enjoy it.
I guess that's true of real life as well. You don't have to understand your feelings completely to know that you like something. You don't have to always have figured everything out. You can just feel.
Well done, Nick. I feel like those words are exactly what needed to go in those ears.
Come on.
Oh, wait, where are we going?
No idea.
Where are we going? No idea. Bless them.
What?
I just love being here.
You don't want to go back to the others?
No.
Aww. Keys.
Yeah, as we can see the Greek statue.
I should probably tell you, when we're on the Eiffel Tower, he said that he still liked you. Like, he genuinely thinks that he still has a chance of getting back with you. He doesn't.
That was interesting because it felt a little bit like Nick might have thought that he might. Like, was Nick genuinely having some insecurities there? I couldn't tell. But yeah, what's going on in Charlie's head? Because when Ben showed up, you saw this like feeling just wash over Charlie. You saw these feelings, like these negative feelings just wash over him. And obviously it comes from their past and all that and how he treated him. But I wonder if there's anything deeper. I wonder if it's, because something that I am curious about is whether it is affecting his eating disorder, because he obviously is having some problems. I want to dive into that. We haven't fully dove into it yet. We've sort of got a little bit of a inkling going on, but we haven't discussed it. And I do wonder whether the way that Ben treated him, those negative feelings, I wonder if they feed into it, and I'm very curious to find that out. But yeah, it hasn't been fun watching Charlie have these moments this season.
Should we get going?
Interesting.
Come on, you lot.
Was that feel like a feeling of being isolated?
How come I've never even met your parents?
Ah.
Why do you always do that? Why do you always avoid the issue? I feel like you're hiding stuff from me. I'm not.
I think you are.
It was just a casual I love you. You said you didn't mean it like that. But you know I did. You know I do.
I'm gonna keep that in mind. Lock it away for a little bit. Yeah, it seems like he's feeling very isolated. What's going on? Is it because he hasn't eaten anything? Is he genuinely feeling faint?
Charlie, what's wrong?
Get ready, Nick. I think he's about to fall over.
I don't feel very well.
Nice. Good job.
Somebody get Mr. Farouk. Charlie.
Why the fuck were those two laughing? There were two boys in the background laughing, the fucking dickheads.
They should make more movies in the Louvre. I can only think of the Da Vinci Code, and you would literally have to tie me to a chair if you wanted me to watch that actual monstrosity again.
Bless him, the way that his brain still hasn't processed what just happened.
I'm so sorry. Let's just forget that happened.
You can force him to love you.
Oh, bless them.
He can't expect you to
Finally.
I don't know how to do this.
Neither of you do, that's the point. Let's just have a good time. Well done, guys. Good job, Elle, for making that move, though, because we all know Tao wasn't.
What just happened?
My boy, I don't think you've eaten enough.
You passed out.
I think that's where this is going.
Really embarrassed.
Found them!
Bloody hell, Isaac.
You sure you feel okay, Charlie?
Yeah, I just haven't eaten enough today.
Right, we'll let you chill out a bit.
Yeah, thanks.
I feel like this might cause an issue in their relationship, only because, just thinking about it now, when you're not, like, I don't have any experiences with other people nor myself when it comes to eating disorders, and I think unless you do your research and fully understand things, which I feel like I should do, because I don't actually know about it enough myself, but I know that an issue might come about in the, a lot of the time you feel, obviously if you're feeling protective of someone, and like here, Charlie has fainted because he hasn't eaten. A human instinct would be, I'm going to make sure that you eat. I'm going to make sure that you eat enough in the day and all that. But then if Charlie becomes a bit combative with it, and if Charlie doesn't want to eat something because of what's going on in his head, you then getting like, oh no, you have to eat today, it can cause an issue surely, because without understanding what's going on in Charlie's head, without fully understanding how to help him, like an actual method of how to help him, just going and telling him to eat and trying to make him eat might cause a divide in their relationship. So I hope Nick looks into it. I hope he not only looks into it, but also asks Charlie where these thoughts come from, what he feels when he looks at food. Like, say he looked at that baguette right now, what is going through his head? Why does he not want to eat it? What is telling him that it's a bad thing to do? Because without understanding that, it will definitely cause some issues. So I hope they can have an open discussion, but it's a very, very, very personal thing. And so I wouldn't be surprised if Charlie is a little reluctant to be open about it, probably because he doesn't really fully know what's going on himself. You know, like, they are still very young, and denial is a very powerful thing. So he could full well not realize that he is doing this to himself, you know? But yeah, I definitely want to find out. I hope the show teaches us, you know, because I want to find out a lot more about eating disorders, because I've seen it in TV shows and all that, but I don't have a full understanding of what goes on in someone's head when it happens, you know? I don't have a full understanding of what that mental process is like.
Charlie, I've noticed you don't really eat a lot.
Careful, because this could bring about a lot of shame.
I don't know, it kind of feels like it's gotten worse lately. Like, I feel like you eat less than you used to.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry.
Hey,
You
no,
don't have to apologize.
You have nothing to be sorry about.
It comes from a place of love and concern.
I know I don't eat like normal people.
Normal people, interesting.
Some days I'm fine, but other days I feel like I need to control it.
Ah, fascinating. Sorry to pause in the middle of this. I'm going to go back 10 seconds and just hear it all again. But one thing I want to say is that is something that I forgot about. That is something that I've heard when it comes to eating disorders, is that sometimes it can be a matter of control because you feel like you don't have control of a lot of things in your life. One thing you can control is your eating habits, how much you eat and all of that. And that itself can become the thing that you sort of get hooked on. So I'm glad that they're bringing this up. Like, can I just say, I want to explore it a lot more, obviously, as the season goes on. But the fact that they're even exploring this in this show is incredible considering its audience. Like, this is going to be so beneficial.
Sometimes it feels like the only thing I can control in my life. That makes zero sense. You can just forget
It does make sense. Okay, maybe I don't totally get it, but I still want to know if you're feeling like that. I'm your boyfriend, Charlie, and I really care about you.
Oh, he stopped himself, saying the big L.
It's a bit dry.
I'm not rejecting the croissant that I have lovingly carried for you all
Lovingly
day.
carried. Good job, Charlie. I'm proud of you.
Oh, it's my dad. Sorry, I better... Your dad? Hello, papa? Oui, ça va? Je suis au Louvre.
I take it Charlie has never heard him speak French either.
Sorry about that. He said, you speak French. Wait, do you like the fact that I speak French?
Obviously!
Fine.
Who wouldn't, Nick? Are you kidding me?
You actually don't look like you're cringing. You look like you're blushing.
I am
lot.
not.
Yeah, sure. Leave me alone, you dick.
You dick.
Non, pas de ça ici.
Run.
Run.
My dad wants to meet up, like, today.
You ever mentioned your dad before?
Yeah, for good reason, I assume.
He's not really a big part of my life anymore. Since
Yeah.
he lives here, and he's not the most reliable.
I was gonna say, from what we've seen, I don't think he makes a lot of effort, which is sad.
I had this idea that I might introduce you to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That scares me only because of what his brother said.
How about we promise to tell each other when we've got stuff going on?
That is a good point, Charlie. I didn't really, yeah, that is a good point. I didn't really process that Nick has also been keeping that from Charlie. You know, he's also not been telling Charlie that, because it's very evident that his relationship with his dad does get him down. And it's one of those really sad things in life where when your parent doesn't put effort in, when they don't put effort into actually keeping contact with you, can make you feel really shit. It can make you feel like, am I not good enough? Like, am I not worth you even fucking replying to my text? Like, do you actually not want to talk to me? It's just such a shit thing because it's not like you can get a replacement. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you have the whole idea of chosen family and all that, and that is very beneficial to a lot of people, but at the end of the day, you only ever have one mother and father, and to know that one of them can't even make the fucking effort of replying to your texts, that can really bring a person down. So I'm glad that we touched on this, and I'm glad that Charlie now knows so that they can talk about it, and also obviously glad that Nick has got that from Charlie, that Charlie can talk to him as well.
When are you actually meeting up with him? And how?
I said I'd meet him in a cafe in 20 minutes.
20 minutes, Jesus Christ. Guess we're going to the cafe then. Metro, oh my god, Nick, how far away is this cafe? Are we at the end of the episode? I just realized. Please no. For fuck's sake. Oh, that is so painful. That is so painful. I was so ready to meet his dad. I thought that they would at least show us his dad before ending the episode. So yes, there we have season 2, episode 5 of Heartstopper, and that was a fantastic episode. We explored a lot more of Charlie's ED and how it's affecting him, what his mind is like in that moment, and it does seem as though it all comes from a place of control, which is fascinating when linked back to what Ben was saying earlier, and how it's more so what Nick was saying to Ben, and how it's Ben's love of control over Charlie. The fact that Charlie was so easy to manipulate, so easy to control, because Charlie wanted to be loved. Charlie loved Ben and wanted to receive that love back, and he thought that he had to do everything in his power to get that. He thought that it was his responsibility to do everything that Ben wanted so that Ben would love him. Which, if that's the way you're going into a relationship, then no, my boy, that is not how you should be treated. You should feel loved from the fucking get-go, you know? You should feel the love that you're giving received back without you having to do everything for them, you know? Like, do things for your partner, of course, but when you're doing everything for them and you're sacrificing every single need that you have, that is a problem, that is toxic, and that is not okay. But yeah, it's just fascinating that we have that link of, because Ben was controlling Charlie so much, and because due to the bullying, due to the outing and all of that, Charlie felt so isolated and so out of control in his own life that the only thing that he could control was his eating habits. And so it's not surprising that this has developed, but we definitely need to get a hold of it, and we definitely need to try and help Charlie in any way possible. Nick being a good boyfriend, coming in, being like, look, I don't fully understand it, which is true. When you say to someone like, I understand, but they know that you don't, it can come across wrong because they're thinking, no, you don't understand. You're saying that you do, but you don't. So I'm glad that Nick was able to identify that he doesn't fully understand, but he empathizes enough that he wants Charlie to be happy and Charlie to be good. So he wants Charlie to talk to him when he's having these moments, which that's all you can ever fucking ask for in a partner. So another well done to Nick, but then also well done to Charlie. Like, Charlie has been great to Nick this whole time. The way that he comforted him, the way that he was so open to meet Nick's dad and all that, so good. But then speaking of Nick's dad, it does scare me because from what his brother said, I don't know if his dad's going to be fully supportive, fully open to hearing that Nick has a boyfriend. And given that their relationship is already teetering on the edge of basically abandonment, it scares me that the emotions that Nick may go through if his father does have a negative reaction. Because, like, at the end of the fucking day, let's just break this down. At the end of the fucking day, if you are not putting effort into being in your child's life, how on earth do you expect to have even the notion of telling them that you don't agree with their life, you know? So if he comes in with that negative reaction, fucking hell. Like, no parent has the right to tell their child how to live, but a parent who has basically abandoned their child doesn't even put fucking effort into communicating them and keeping that relationship going. If they then come out with the fact that they don't agree with how you're living your life, then they can fuck right off, you know? So not looking forward to next episode just because I'm expecting it to go down a more negative route. But if it doesn't, then that'll be amazing that he's able to connect with his dad in that way and talk to him about Charlie if it does go positively. I'm not expecting it, you know? So I guess we'll have to wait and see. Now, in terms of the rest of the episode, we had a lot of great moments. Again, I'm loving that we're exploring duos that we haven't had before. Like, that conversation with Nick and Elle was obviously very fundamental in why Elle then went to kiss Tao. Like, she needed to hear those words. She needed to understand that even if she doesn't fully understand her feelings, it's okay to explore them. It's okay to like them. It's okay to have them. You don't have to have this full understanding of yourself to explore yourself. And I'm very happy that they had that. But yeah, these duos that we've been getting these past few episodes have been incredible. And then speaking of Tao and Elle, obviously they've had their first kiss. First couple of kisses, really. And I'm excited to see where they go from here. They need to just accept within themselves that it doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to have this absolute perfect relationship from the get-go. There are going to be awkward moments. There are going to be rough moments. There are going to be moments where you don't fully understand each other. You're getting to know each other. You just need to talk to each other about it. You need to process that you both like each other. Those feelings are there. They're not just going to vanish because of one awkward moment. Accept that they're there and try and get to a better place, you know? Try and understand each other a bit better when it comes to being in a relationship, not just a friendship. And then I'm sure you are going to fucking hit it off. You are going to be an incredible couple, you know? They get on so fucking well. But yes, anyway, with all of that said, I believe I've covered everything I wanted to talk about, so let's move on to some Patreon questions. Right, now before we get into it, like I said last time, we have a lot of questions to go through, so if I don't pick your question, nothing personal, it's just that I feel like I've already covered it, you know? But yes, anyway, let's get into it. So, first up, now knowing that Charlie was outed because someone overheard Tao talking, and that led to the bullying Charlie went through, what are your thoughts looking back on how protective Tao has been over Charlie in season 1? It's a hard thing to talk about only because someone mentioned it in the YouTube comments that in the comics, Tao was the one who outed Charlie. And so I kind of already had that spoiled to me, which is unfortunate, but at least now seeing the clarification that they didn't even have that conversation, like Tao had not even told Charlie that he was the one who basically outed him, which, like, it's a hard thing to talk about because, like, yeah, it's shit and, like, you wish it didn't happen, but it's not like Tao intentionally did it. It was a mistake. It was a normal mistake that anyone would make when you're just talking about something to another friend. It sucks that someone else overheard, but the fact that they spread it around is their problem. It's their problem that they did that, you know? It's not Tao's. So I'm glad that he got to have that conversation with Charlie so that Charlie could ease his mind, because I'm sure this has been playing on his mind for a very long time, and it definitely would have impacted their friendship. Like you said, in season 1, he was very protective of Charlie. We even saw at the start of this episode, he was very protective of Charlie, and it's because he has this shame within him, and he has this pain of being like, oh god, I'm the one who caused Charlie to get bullied and all that, which just isn't the case. So yeah, I'm glad that we got that. I'm very glad with all of the stuff we've got about Tao this season. It's allowed his character to truly develop, like the stuff with his dad and the stuff with this truly allowed his character to feel more well-rounded, and I just appreciate that we haven't only focused on Charlie and Nick through this series. You know, we've got things from other people. It just makes the whole universe feel more realistic, you know? But yes, moving on, next up, it's also interesting to think of Tao's comment from season 1, episode 7, where he said that he thinks Charlie didn't tell him about his friendship with Nick because he probably thinks I'll say something stupid and out Nick to all Nick's mates. And obviously he cares more about Nick's feelings than mine. That is a very good point to bring up, because when you read that message, it feels very selfish, but in that moment, Tao was very hurt. And I feel like when you're going through that point of feeling shame for something that you've done, and then someone does something that you think is because of that. Like, he thought that Charlie didn't tell him because of that. Maybe it's because he was thinking in his head, does Charlie know that it was me? Does Charlie think that I'm the one who, like, went around and spread this information outing him, and that's why he didn't tell me about Nick, because he doesn't trust me in that sense? Like, your brain would be going through so many different motions. So I think that's where that last comment of he cares more about Nick's feelings than mine comes from. It's not from a place of him truly thinking that. It comes from a place of insecurities and thinking that because of the shame he's feeling over his actions, he thinks that his friend no longer considers him someone he can rely on, you know? So thank you for bringing that up, because it's very easy to look at last season and see it as a whole, but it's not easy to look at it and think of actual fucking quotes, you know? So thank you for that. But yes, now the last point. At this point in the season, given the information we learned this episode, how do you think Tao's protectiveness for his friends and his fear of being left alone intersect and influence his decisions and actions? I mean, like I said, the development that we've had this season has been fascinating for Tao because of those things, because he's very protective and very loyal to his friends, because it comes from his dad, like, leaving, you know, because of the loss of his dad, because he lost that key relationship within his life. He does not ever want to lose any other relationship. He sees the loss of a relationship as something that hurts so fucking deeply and affects you on a fundamental level that he cannot fathom the idea of losing someone else. And so he forms himself into the perfect friend. He's formed himself into someone who is loyal, someone who will never leave your side, someone who will protect you till the day he fucking dies, because of that fear of loss. And don't get me wrong, those are all very good traits. Those are beautiful traits to have. And those could very well have sprung from within himself. But it is also key to note that they have likely come from a fear of loss, a fear of abandonment, a fear of people leaving you. So even though those traits are negative and they're great things for a friend to have, and I'm glad that he has those traits, it is interesting to look at where they may come from, you know? Now, next up, what are your thoughts on what Isaac said to Harry in this episode, and do you think this will have any impact on his future actions/thoughts, as we've already seen a slight change when he stood up for Nick in the Eiffel Tower? I do think that Isaac's words hit Harry a lot deeper than he let on, because someone like Harry is never going to sit there, listen to Isaac and be like, you know what, you're right. No, he's going to make a joke out of it. He's going to pretend that it's not serious, but then he's going to walk away from Isaac thinking about those words, thinking about what he said, and actually making some changes. And linking back to what I said last episode in the question time about whether I can see a redemption arc for Harry happening and whether that's something that I would like, I am very, very open to a redemption arc for him. I'm not open to it for Ben because, as we saw this episode, Ben is not willing to admit to his own mistakes. And I feel like, especially with Charlie, enough damage has been done by Ben to the point where an apology and a change in behavior will not repair that damage. The damage is done, the scars are there. They're never going to fully heal. You know, you have done irreparable damage, unfortunately. And even though I think Charlie can get to such a good place and move on from this, I think that those things stay with you. And I think that Ben has done enough damage to warrant him having, like, he's done enough that I can't see a redemption arc. Even if they went down one, I would not like one, you know? It's not something I want for his character. The only thing I really want for his character is to get some serious fucking help and to get a good fucking support system for himself so that he can actually process his thoughts and feelings and get to a good place. But I don't want him to do it with this group. I don't want him to do it around our characters. I would appreciate if he left, maybe transferred schools, maybe, well, I don't know. Is he in Nick's year or is he in Charlie's year? Because if he's in Nick's year, then he doesn't need to transfer schools because they're coming to the end of their school time anyway, aren't they? I mean, if they're in year 11, they've only got this year and then he's gone. So I think that it would be a good move on the show's part, even though I love Bash and he is an incredible actor. Like, the way he's played Ben has been perfection. I think it would be a good move writing wise to have Ben go somewhere else and us not see Ben. Maybe he comes back in the future, like season 4 or something. We have a meet up with him and Charlie and he actually like fully breaks down what he did wrong and understands what he did wrong. All of that, I'd be open to that, but I'm not open to having him in the show any longer, just causing more issues, you know? But yeah, sorry for talking about Ben. Going back to Harry, I do definitely think that we've seen some changes this episode, and we've seen changes enough that I'm hoping this is a turning point for him, because he protected Nick, but not just that, but when he protected Imogen last episode, you saw a glimmer of a good guy in there. And when you fully break down what Harry did wrong, he did do wrong. Do not, like, mistake what I'm saying. It hurt me when he said that slur. Like, fucking hell, it hurt me to my core. And I do not blame Nick for punching him one fucking bit. I mean, proud moment for me. But I do think that when you fully break it down, it was someone using a word that they don't understand the impact of. Like Isaac was saying, he doesn't understand the impact of his words. He says it because he thinks he's being cool in front of his friends. He says it because that's just banter. And he doesn't understand the impact that it has on someone because he has never gone through that. Like, let's fully break this down. He's a straight white rugby player who's popular. He is in every fucking apex that he could be at this age. Like, he is in the perfect life that any of us could ever wish for. And so he's never had to deal with that true pain. He's never had to process those emotions. Never had to think empathetically, to think, what happens if I say this to someone? Because it's never had a negative impact on him. It's never affected him badly, so he just keeps going on that behavior. But I do think that we're seeing a change. I do think that as he is maybe maturing, as he is coming to terms with the actions that he has done, I think he is starting to realize that, yeah, the words that I do say may fucking hurt. And maybe what happened last episode with Imogen and how he saw that being called a bitch affected her so deeply, maybe that is now going to change him and be like, wait, maybe when I said this, they felt that way. Oh, did I actually really hurt their feelings? I think that those are the things that are going on in Harry's mind right now. So I do hope that we see some genuine changes because it would be nice. And I'm open for a redemption arc for him. But yes, anyway, sorry, I rambled a lot with that question, but moving on, next up, we got glimpses this episode of some troubles in Darcy's home life. Where do you see this storyline going? Where I see it going is a big question because we don't have a lot of information. What I'm sensing is that she does not live in an accepting home because I feel like it's one of those situations where she is very different at home than she is anywhere else. And home is basically, for a lot of people, home is their safe place. For someone like Darcy, I think it's the complete opposite. Everything is flipped. I don't think home is her safe place. Home is the place that she never wants to be. Home is the place where she wants to get away from. Likely because she is a different person, because she has to dim herself down. She has to dim her light down to be around her parents and to be in that environment. So I'm expecting that it is likely a very strict household, is likely a very non-accepting household, perhaps even religious, because I feel like when you're dealing with queer people who feel trapped in their home and feel like they cannot express themselves at home and they want to separate their social life from their home life, unfortunately, a lot of the times it comes with religion. And so I do wonder if we're going to explore that aspect. It could be a cool aspect. We haven't explored that so far on the show. But yeah, in terms of where it could go so many ways, but it definitely seems like her home life is not her safe place. And the fact that she has kept Tara completely separated from it definitely screams that there is some issues there when it comes to accepting her being queer. But yes, anyway, moving on. Next up, we see a lot of new character pairings this season, such as Nick and Elle, Tara and Charlie. So are there any more that you would like to see more of? For me, it's definitely Nick and Tara, as I love their friendship so much. I agree. As I was reading that question, my brain was coming up with pairings, and as soon as I read Nick and Tara, I immediately was like, yeah, because that is a pairing that, it was so beautiful when, I can't remember the reason they were, but they were standing outside of the assembly place, weren't they? And Tara and Darcy walked up to Nick and we saw them have that conversation. It was so sweet and so nice to see. So I hope we get more of that. In terms of other pairings, I don't know. I feel like the problem here is that if you had asked me this at the start of season 2, I wouldn't have known either, because until we have these pairings, until I've seen their faces together and thought to myself, what do these two people have to talk about? I don't think I've really realized how great that pairing is, you know? Like, we saw this episode, Nick and Elle having that conversation. If you'd asked me at the start of the episode what I thought they would have a talk about, I wouldn't know. But Nick going over and telling her basically everything she needed to hear because they were looking at an art piece, like, it was just so beautifully well done. So I'm honestly down for any pairing. I'm down for a Nick and Isaac pairing, a Tao and Darcy pairing, like, the way that these characters can interact and share their feelings while also helping the other person share theirs and coming to a conclusion that helps them both. There are so many routes that we can go down with that I'm just excited to see what they've got going forward. Like, I feel like you could pair anyone together and they'd be able to help the other one, you know? Now, moving on, next up, Charlie's eating problem is finally talked about this episode, but the signs were there since season 1. I think this show did a great job in showing how people with eating disorders often cover their symptoms with lies and clothing so their loved ones only notice once it gets worse. Case in point, did you notice any of the signs at the time? What would you do if you were Nick in this situation? One excellent question. I did skip a little bit of that question because the lovely commenter gave lots of examples, which is great because that is going to be able to help me link back. But in terms of, like, before I look at them, no, Honestly, in season 1, I did not notice a single thing related to an eating disorder. I did not have an inkling. I feel like there might have been like one moment. It might have been this season though. My memory is a bit shit. I feel like there might have been one moment where I thought to myself, that's interesting, but we haven't touched on that yet. So let's just like, maybe they'll do something with that. I don't know, but let's just move on. I feel like I might have had one of those thoughts, but I definitely did not think to myself, oh, Charlie might have an eating disorder. I wonder if we're going to cover this, you know? So I'm very, very, very happy that they've done this, because someone like me, I've never been around someone with an eating disorder, and I've never experienced those things myself. So it's hard for me to relate to Charlie in this situation. It's even hard for me to relate to Nick in this situation, because like I said before, if I was in this situation, I'm a very protective person to the point where I would make sure that Charlie was eating, but I would be also scared that because of my protectiveness and because of my wanting him to be better, I may come across as putting shame on him. I may come across as putting pressure on him eating, which wouldn't have been my intention, but due to my lack of understanding and due to, it's similar how like someone who has no understanding of depression would try and help someone with depression by trying to make them happy. You know what I mean? Like it's that fundamental misunderstanding of what's going on there that doesn't allow you to move forward. So if I was in Nick's situation, I feel like I'd go about it the same way he did, in the sense that I would want Charlie to tell me the inner workings of his mind. Tell me what he thinks when it happens. In that exact moment that he looks at something and thinks, I don't want to eat it. Why does he think that way? What is going on in his head? That's what I would want to understand, because without fully understanding it, there would be no way for me to help. And it also, like I said, risks you doing things that are the opposite of helping without realizing, you know? So good on Nick for making that clear that Charlie can go to him and all that. Does that mean that Charlie will definitely go to him? No, it takes effort on Charlie's part. And when I say effort, I don't mean in the sense of, oh, Charlie, you're not putting in enough effort. No, because a lot of time it comes from shame, insecurities, all of that. And those are very hard things to get by. But I think that Nick also definitely needs to do his own research. And now that Charlie has explained to him that it is a matter of control, do some research into that specifically so that you can maybe help Charlie better in the future. Because Charlie may want to tell you things. He may fully really like feel like, oh my God, I need to tell Nick this thing. But that shame may keep him from doing that. So even though I think Nick did an excellent job this episode in making Charlie feel safe and comfortable in talking to him, I do think that he definitely needs to do his own research on top of that. Now, moving on, next up, what are your hopes for Isaac's storyline this season? I wonder if you've caught any of the hints dotted throughout as to where his storyline could be going. The hints that I've picked up is that we may be going down an asexual route, only because we had that book that he was reading, Ace of Spades, which like that felt like a visual hint to the audience. And so I picked up on that and kept that in mind. But then the conversation that he had with, I believe it was Charlie, was that he was asking Charlie, how did you know that you had feelings for Nick? I could be misremembering that. He could have been asking someone else how they knew they had feelings for someone else, but you get the drift. He was asking them how they knew they had feelings, which I think is a very common thing for it. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like it's a common thing for asexual people to go through, because due to them having a diminished or not having a sexual attraction to someone, especially when at this age when hormones are like high and people are talking about like finding someone really attractive, all of that, it could be that there is a confusing element to that of not understanding what liking someone is. Because if someone tells you, like, how do you know that you like X? And you say, oh, I like him because of his muscles. You know what I mean? Like, that's a stupid example, but you get what I mean? It's like a physical aspect where someone who's asexual may not have those physical feelings, and so they fully don't understand and think that they are not having romantic feelings at all. Whereas I don't think that's the case. I feel like Isaac is having very strong romantic feelings towards maybe James specifically, but just in general, it seems like Isaac does want to be in a relationship just based on his own behavior and how he has been. And I think that the reason we haven't explored it so far, well, the reason we haven't explored it in the show so far is because I think we only have so much time in the show, and we've given a lot of other characters a lot of time, so we haven't been able to explore Isaac, but maybe in season 3 we will. But in terms of like a personal aspect and why Isaac hasn't explored it so far, I think it's because, like I said, he's confused. He doesn't fully understand his sexuality. He's learning about himself as he goes along. And so the opportunity has never sort of presented itself because he's still trying to learn about himself. He's still trying to understand why his feelings may be different from someone else's, and that is okay, and that is very valid, and that he is still allowed to have a relationship, to have feelings for someone, all of that, you know? So yeah, I hope we do really explore Isaac more in the future, but I don't know if we're going to have time this season only because of all of the storylines that we have going on at the moment, you know? Right, next up, let's talk a bit about the music and wardrobe in this show. So we'll talk about them separately. So the first part, I absolutely adore the soundtrack, especially in season 1. Is there a favorite musical moment of yours so far? I think that there is... So I have one favorite song from season 1, and it's also my favorite musical moment. It is the song that plays at the end of episode 1 called Don't Delete the Kisses by Wolf Alice. From a show perspective, I absolutely love it because it was such a beautiful way to end episode 1. Just that moment of like, something is beginning, something joyous, something happy is starting to brew, and we are just at the beginning of that journey, you know? That was absolutely beautiful. But then from a personal route as well, after season 1 of Heartstopper, was it after season 1 or was it in the middle of season 1? I can't remember. I think I took the trip after I'd already finished it. But I took a trip down to St. Ives in Cornwall in England. Absolutely recommend it to anyone. If you come to the UK and you want to go somewhere like in the countryside, scenic and beautiful, go to St. Ives. It is perfection. But I went there and at 5 a.m, which is unheard of for me, I took a walk down to the beach and the sun was just rising, and it was a beautiful moment of watching a sunrise, having that song play in my ears, just experiencing pure joy. Let's just say pure fucking joy. And it was one of those pure musical moments where like the music fully touched my soul. And so that is just like locked into my mind of my favorite song, and nothing will ever replace it, you know? And so I think it's safe to say that is definitely my favorite. There are a few others there. Obviously the song that was playing when they were throwing snowballs at each other, that was beautiful. The Baby Queen songs that we've had, those have been fantastic as well. I think it's safe to say that in both season 1 and 2, the soundtrack has been absolutely impeccable. And I don't know if I could say that it's a reason that Heartstopper has been successful, but it's definitely a reason as to why I love the show even more, you know? Like the fact that we can end every episode being like, holy shit, what was that song? I need to look it up. It's definitely one of the main aspects of the show that I look for. But yes, anyway, talking about the wardrobe aspect, you've talked about Elle's style and Charlie looking good in green. Did any of the other wardrobe choices stick out to you? I personally find Nick's red shorts this episode hilarious. Fun fact, the outfits that they wore this episode are the exact ones they were on the cover of Volume 3. Hold the fuck up, really? I got my Volume 3. Oh my god, they are! That's so cute. Oh, I love that they've done that. One sec, I need to put it back so everything looks good again. Also, for those that don't know, rest assured, I have not read... I don't think I read past... I got halfway through Volume 2, I think. I can't remember. I know that I didn't read as much as I was able to, because I remember that there was a certain amount that you could read up to once Season 1 has ended, and I never finished that, because I think it was related to my holiday. I think I went home, and because I then went back to work, I just forgot to finish reading it. But yeah, I do have all of the books, even though I can't read them, but trust and believe, once we get to the points in the show that I can read them, I'm going to be picking up those fucking books. But yes, now getting back, why did I put my earphone in? Getting back to the question in terms of like people's outfits, it's hard. I have a very bad memory. For those of you who know me well, I have a very, very, very bad memory. So I can't think of any specific outfit choices, but the outfits this season have definitely been some of my favorites. Like, I feel like they've just been dressed so well. Like, I think a huge impact on Tao has been his haircut, but also his wardrobe. Like, I feel like his haircut has just like allowed his wardrobe to flourish as well, because I've noticed that he has looked a lot more stylish and indie, and him and Elle's outfits and personalities in general go together so well, you know? But yeah, the wardrobe has also been a fantastic aspect of this season, and I want to keep my eye open for it more because I feel like I don't do that enough. Now, moving on, next up, the question itself I've kind of already covered. It was in relation to the pairings of people, but it did talk about an aspect that I didn't think of, which is, do you feel like it adds something that was missing? Which I do. I do feel like these new pairings that we've had have allowed the show, well, not the show, has allowed the universe that the show is setting to be fleshed out a lot more, because when you have these pairings that never meet, when you have this like friendship group that apparently all spend so much time together, but we never see them actually one-to-one interact, it can feel a little bit hollow. It can feel a little bit like, well, is Tara actually friends with Tao? Is Tara actually friends with Charlie? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you look at each individual character and you think, did they talk to these other people in the group? Because we're seeing them all laugh as a group, but we're not seeing those interactions. And so I think that this season, that has definitely allowed their friendship group to feel so much more realistic and so much more developed than it did ever before, you know? So thank you for bringing that up, because I forgot to actually talk about that part of things. Now, moving on, next up, we have a question about Ben and his conversation with Nick in front of the Eiffel Tower. Do you think that he is conscious of his words and is intentionally trying to reinterpret the past, or do you think he's really that oblivious? I think that it's a combination of the two. I find that in people like Ben, who they convince themselves that they are the victim. I think that they will always have that little voice in the back of their head that is aware of what they're doing. They will always have that little voice in the back of their head that will maybe say Ben is reeling all of that off to Nick. Something in the back of his head will be like, but then you did do this. But that voice is so quiet and so drowned out by the other voices that he pushes it away and doesn't think about it. So I do think that there is definitely an element of him being oblivious and him not realizing what he's saying. But I absolutely think that part of him very well knows that he is in the wrong. And that shame is fueling him. The shame of knowing that he is in the wrong is fueling him. But he wants Charlie. He wants Charlie. Charlie made him feel good. Even though he made Charlie feel like shit, Charlie made him feel good because he did everything for Ben. He made Ben feel loved because Charlie is a very loving person. And Ben wants that back. And he is trying to warp reality. He is trying to say things to Nick that will make Nick give up on Charlie. Not give up, but he's trying to say things to Nick that will make Nick feel bad about his relationship with Charlie so that relationship will end, so that he can then weasel his way back in. And I think that deep down he knows the way he's saying is absolute bullshit, but he is hiding it from himself. He is trying himself to not listen to himself. And that is an aspect of his character that I do enjoy from a psychological perspective, and wanting him to be around so that we can explore those things. But I think that he is too much of a negative force to our characters that I can't value those moments above their own happiness, you know, and so I would rather him be out of the show. Right, our next and final question. I'm sure you would have talked about this some in the video, but do you have any new thoughts about Darcy's character after this episode and her conversation with Tara in particular? Why do you think she doesn't want to have the I love you talk? Darcy is a very complex character and someone who I'm very excited to explore, because I think that she is definitely living a dual life right now. I think that she is very much living a life where the person that she is around the person that she is around Tara and all of her friends, even though that is her true self, it is not the person that she is when she is at home. I think that the conversations that she has with her parents, the way she speaks to her parents, the way she behaves, what her room looks like, you know what I mean? Like all of those things, I think that they are all related to a double life where she feels very uncomfortable at home, doesn't feel accepted, feels like an outcast, and just tries to fit her parents' expectations. I think that that is definitely what's going on when it comes to Darcy. And in terms of her reluctance to have the I love you talk, the fact that she immediately went to the route of, well, you said it was a casual I love you and that you didn't mean it that way. I think that that can be taken two ways. That can either be taken as she doesn't believe that Tara actually loves her. She isn't convinced that Tara actually has those feelings for her. And so when Tara said she didn't mean it in that way, Darcy was like, okay, that's reaffirmed my feelings that you don't actually love me. You could take it that way, or you could take it the way of that was kind of a scapegoat for her, and that deep down she does know that she loves her, but she can't bring herself to say it. And if we're talking about her having a bad home life, it could definitely be that because she has never felt like she has been loved, because she has never felt like she has got that love from her parents, she struggles to show it herself and struggles to believe when it's real. She struggles to notice the signs of someone loving her, you know? So I think that it is a very sad thing, but also a very intriguing thing about her character that I really, really want to get into. But yes, anyway, with all of that said, that was an absolutely fantastic episode. We only have 3 left, which there are so many parts to this season I want to explore. I want to explore a bit more of Isaac, Darcy's home life, the change we've seen in Harry, where Imogen could go, Nick's dad. Like, there are so many things that I want to explore, but we only have 3 episodes left, and that makes me really fucking sad. But I hope that... Have they announced that we got season 3 yet? I swear they did. I swear that season 3's already been confirmed. It's whether we get more after that, isn't it? But yes, anyway, getting into the next season, one thing I will say is I really want longer episodes. I'm all for quality over quantity, but at the end of the day, we do not have much time in this show, and I want more. I want more from this universe than what we get, you know? Like, I'm a greedy little bitch. Give me more. But yes, anyway, like I said, absolutely fantastic episode, and I'm very excited to see what these last 3 episodes have in store for us. But for now, thank you very much for watching. I've left a link down below to my Patreon, where you're able to find the early and uncut reactions to Heartstopper and all the other shows that I do. Also left a link to my Twitch, my Discord, and my socials, so be sure to follow them if you are interested. And yes, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.